a bit of an interesting matchup. Timothy Pskowski with Callblade playing against Korey with Jund.
Yeah, and I think the story of this tournament has probably been the Callblade deck, right? I mean, its demise was greatly exaggerated, and people say that about a lot of different decks, but this one in particular, it's back and with a vengeance.
I mean, Jund was something that was supposed to be dead a year ago too, so I don't know what's going on over here.
You know, a lot of people on Twitter and Facebook were like, "Oh, that's not a Jund deck. Like, why are you guys calling it Jund?" But really, like, not only did the deck creator himself call it Jund, it's also just a Jund deck. Like, if you've played with Jund at all, just a bunch of 2-for-1s.
Yeah, you know, some spot removal, and then you've got like Grave Titan and Grim Lavamancer as an engine, Worm Coil engine, just all these like really powerful 2-for-1s on your high end as finishers, and then Garruk Primal Hunter.
Yeah, and new Garruk seems just great in this kind of deck. I mean, we watched him hit play yesterday, and it's like +3 make a beast, +3 make a beast, draw 4 cards off a Thrun, find exactly what I need.
Sometimes just make 24 power of worms or whatever you want to do.
Only 24?
Fine, just enough. It's enough.
Just enough power of worms. Enough to kill an EDH opponent.
Yeah.
And I think we'll call that one good. So yeah, that's the Jund deck. The Cowboy deck, why don't you inform people how the deck has changed? Because obviously, no more Jace the Mind Sculptor, no more Stoneforge Mystic. What's keeping these kind of decks afloat?
Well, first of all, without Stoneforge Mystic, all that means is you just have to play more Sword of Feast and Famines to actually hit them with. So Batterskull got a lot worse without Stoneforge Mystic, obviously. It's no longer a 2-mana Baneslayer Angel, but Feast and Famine's still fine. It's still, when you hit them with it, it's still free. They still discard a card, and you still have all the benefits. And losing Jace it hurt the deck, obviously, but it let it shift. It let a lot of the white creatures that were previously being held back by the bounce ability just, come forward. Hero Blade holds in the deck now, Blade Splicer, and both of those guys really didn't interact so well with Jace. But now that Jace isn't around to punish you for playing those, they're pretty good at killing your opponent. Hero in one hit's probably going to put your opponent to dead on board, and Blade Splicer hits pretty hard and gives you 2 bodies for a sword.
Yeah, and really I feel like this is kind of the iteration of Cobblade that Cobblade really should have been all along. The Mystic, Jace thing, that really made it insane, but this is more like, what we could have expected to see in a more fair iteration of it to start with, right? You have Hero Blade Hold, you got like some small guys going up the ground, you can go aggressive. Some of the ones we saw had Gravitational Shift to, help out the flying army while making, moting your opponent in some cases. Like Vampire just has no good way to beat it except for Highborn.
Yeah, they, maybe have, let's see, the list that we have right here, actually, or on the other side of the bracket, it only has 4 bolts, 3 arc trails for burn. That's not really enough to get through, especially if the Callblade player stabilizes above 10 life. And I mean, just looking at this Callblade deck, it's just a lot of you have the Mana Leaks and you have the Spell Pierces. You just have this sort of aggro control feel. Gideon Jur's back. That guy kind of went away because of Batterskull, but now you have all these red decks and all these other random beatdown decks that still cannot beat a Gideon.
Yeah, and Tim here even has an Elspeth Tyrell, which is a card that Brian Kibler earlier this year said was really good for him. When he was playing the Ka-Go deck, before people were even blading, he had Elspeth Tyrell, and he said that card was great in the Ka-Go deck. So it's interesting that we see a reappearance of it here in Tim's deck.
Yeah, Elspeth is just one of those cards where if you get into any sort of creature war, it's just going to dominate the game. If you played with it in Limited, you know that it was easily the best mythic in the set. It was almost impossible to beat in Elspeth. I played a game where, I had Skin Render and I had Oxida Scrap Melter. My opponent mulled to 5. I just played Elspeth and I died. Make 3 guys, untap, play a guy, +2, go. Make 3 guys, and you're just like, oh, well, there goes everything I've ever tried to do this game. And earlier block instructed you to have these blue-eye control decks where people would be like, oh, I want to beat down with all these guys, and they just be like, okay, I'm going to play Elspeth and make 3 guys, and you're never going to kill me.
Yeah, Elspeth's certainly a very powerful card, and once again, I think it's cool we see it here. We saw like some decks using Venser, which is an interesting card in this deck, and some decks using, Jace Balerion, a couple different things, but Elspeth Tyrell, that's a card to watch. Could potentially turn out to be a breakout card in this deck. I remember that when Brian Kibler was playing, he only had 1 in the sideboard, and it slowly crept into 1 in the main deck, 2 in the main deck, I think even 3 in the main deck at one point.
There definitely was one list that had 3, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely really important. And the sweeper effect also adds like this kind of safety button to the deck, opponent's playing some ridiculous, artifact-based combo that you weren't prepared for. Elspeth, plus and just block with some Squadron Hawks, kill everything.
Yeah. I mean, especially, and plus and gaining life is pretty relevant too. I mean, getting above the range of red decks, vampires decks, you just gain a couple life off your back of your Squadron Hawks. That could be a big deal. And of course, this is one of the mini decks that's taken advantage of the reprinting of Oblivion Ring this weekend.
Oh yeah.
To be able to deal with Planeswalkers, other equipments, the whole gamut of cards you want to be able to take care of. Oblivion Ring is an awesome reprint, and it's definitely making waves here at Cincinnati. We're about to go to our match, so here we are, the semifinals of the Star City Games Open Series standard portion here in Cincinnati, Ohio. On your right, Korey Fay is playing the Jund deck we were talking about, and it is most certainly a Jund deck. Not only did he call it Jund, but it's just, like you said, a bunch of 2-for-1s and some removal spells, like Planeswalker. Feels like Garrick is kind of in the Sarkhan spot where Sarkhan was last year. You've got Grave Titan and Lotus Cobra.
Solemn Simulacrum was the one we missed earlier. That's your Blood Braid Elf.
Yeah. Solemn is the saddest Blood Braid Elf ever. And it's like Blood Braid Elf into Border Post. Yeah. And on the other hand, on your left, we have Tim, who is playing Blue-White Cobblade. Just Hero, Bladehold, Blade Splicer, Squadron Hawk, Sun Titan, Gideon, Elspeth, Sword, Feast and Famine, Dismember, Oblivion Ring, Preordain, Mana Leak, and Spell Pierce. Who do you think has the edge in this matchup, Ari?
I think that the Jund deck might be a little bit ahead just based on this removal speed. Just looks like it's really good against all the threats that the Cobblade deck has. All these Dismembers and Go for the Throats line up reasonably well against Hero, Bladehold. It might be a little bit short. It's possible that the Cobblade deck just gets to stick one of these things, but the discard's also going to be really strong here.
Oh yeah, the discard, the 4 Inquisition, 1 Duress, 1 Despise, I think are going to be key in this matchup.
The Cobblade deck also is a little weak to Lotus Cobra still. It only has Dismember. It's just about the same as it used to be.
You can O-ring them on the play, but even
or Mana Leak. It's just very much not built to beat these green creatures right now. It's definitely a thing that can change, and in the past has changed.
Right. You're gonna oust. You can even play Journey to Nowhere. You have other options.
Yeah.
But we'll see if Lotus Cobra dominates the game. Seachrome Coast for Tim. Earlier this year when Brian Kibler was playing Kago, he said that Lotus Cobra on turn 2 was the thing he was most scared about. Yeah. And after playing a lot of Cobblade, I still feel like that's the case.
Yeah, if they untapped that guy, it got real easy to get too far behind.
And a turn 2 Hawk for Tim. Korey just has a tap land. Note from Jarvis Yu, who worked with Tim on this deck. He said that we were talking about the Elspeth moments ago, and he said he told Tim to change Gideon to an Elspeth because not only are there times where Elspeth is better, but drawing one of each is better if you're trying to run the Planeswalker gamut.
If Gideon lives, it tends to be one of those Planeswalkers that where if it's living a long time, it's not actually doing anything. It'll just sit there and +2, maybe it attacks them for 6, but sometimes you're just sitting there well, I don't really want to run this guy into removal. I just want to Gideon on the board. +2, and he's got 16 counters. You're like, oh well, I just have a Gideon. It's doing nothing. It's not like Jace. We're like, oh well, I drew an extra Jace off my Jace. I still have 8 cards in my hand.
Yeah, and Gideon and Elspeth kind of work together pretty nicely too. So, all right, and there's the Inquisition turn 2 from Korey Fay. So a little late to grab that Squadron Hawk, but let's see. So Tim shows off a hand of 2 lands, 2 Mana Leaks, 2 Squadron Hawks, and Blade Splicer.
It's worth noting that those lands are, I believe, a Tectonic Edge and a Celestial Conduit, so they're actually going to be doing some work here.
Yeah, definitely. Very important to keep that in mind. Now, this game would be totally different if Korey was on the play here, because Korey could have Inquisitioned away that Squadron Hawk, and that changes things dramatically. Yeah. As is, Tim already has the Squadron Hawk engine going, so Korey's going to have to go for a different route of attack. Obviously, we don't know exactly what's in Korey's hand, but what do you think you would take here? Do you think you take 1 or 2 Mana Leaks, and you take that Blade Splicer?
It's definitely one of those two. It depends on whether you're looking to resolve a Grave Titan or whether you're looking to just sort of get the Hawks out of the way and then proceed with a longer game. And it looks like Korey is just using this Grim Lavamancer to try and gain parity here.
Yeah, and the Lavamancer does a pretty good job of controlling those Hawks. Makes equipments in Tim's deck not quite as exciting, and it's also just going to be able to make sure that those Hawks don't do too much. He'll take some damage, but especially with all the fetch lands in Korey's deck and the number of other removal spells he has, he should be able to negate those Hawks via the use of Grim Lavamancer pretty easily.
Yeah, he's got to keep his graveyard stocked, but those Mana Leaks are definitely going to actually help with that. So.
Yeah. Mana Leak my spell? Well, okay.
Yeah, kill your on it.
So I'm trying to get a glimpse of what's in Korey's hand. He's holding it a little close to the chest, so to speak. So can't really get a lot of information there. But he definitely has a Lava-Mancer in play, Inquisition in his graveyard. So if he finds a way to get one more card into his graveyard, he can start activating that Lava-Mancer.
Looks like he has another Lava Claw Reaches that he's thinking about playing for this turn.
Korey is running the full 8 man lands in his deck, so he's got a lot of enters the battlefield tapped lands. Of course, the trade-off is he has a lot of long game power.
Yeah.
That's what made the Jund deck last year so explosive, was all the man lands. Or not explosive, but the long game. It's like card advantage through your lands.
Yeah, like they somehow keep up with all your 2-for-1s, and you just hit them with a Raging Arena. Like, oh, your lands actually do that.
We've seen a similar thing happen with Celestial Colonnade. The man lands are just so incredibly powerful that they not only fix your mana, but they're just insane lands on their own that are almost just like drawing extra cards when you put one in play tapped. A second Lava-Mancer down for Korey Faye.
As well as a Lava Claw Reaches.
And Lava Claw Reaches.
I was actually talking about that with someone about how the mana lands make it almost impossible to play these enemy color control decks because, you just don't have that threat for free.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like in Rug, Raging Ravine was super, super important, and there's only one for the 3-color combination. And down come 2 more Hawks. Oh man, how do you like an attack with the Grim Lava-Mancer last turn from Korey Faye? Do you think that's too risky?
All depends on what's in his hand. It might actually be reasonable.
Because if they trade off Hawks, then he has his Lava-Mancer active, and I'm not even convinced that Tim would trade in that situation necessarily.
Yeah, I'm not even convinced that these Lava-Mancers are going to get necessarily fully active. Both of them, at least. Like, the second one might as well just be a 1/1-for-1, good old Eager Cadet.
And then,
or Mons Goblin Raven, I guess.
And then, you could trade off with one with the Hawks. That's really what that Grim Lava-Mancer was looking to do.
Yeah.
But
Korey's probably going to get a green mana here, start casting some other spells.
Yep, and there's the green. We'll see what he's holding on to. Always a little awkward when you have to fetch for your green card and you want to play your Lotus Cobra. And that's Solemn Simulacrum. So we're going to see him probably find another green mana here.
Yep.
And then Korey will have access to 6 mana. So
red.
Okay. Once again, it's like this deck's version of Bloodbraid Elf. Go get a land, dies, draw a card.
Yeah. Does some work.
Not quite Bloodbraid Elf.
No, but you can't 3 for someone. It's kind of like you cascade into Blightning every time. It's just not a very good Blightning.
It's more like cascade into Divination or delayed Divination or something. Cultivate. Yeah, cascade and cultivate.
Yeah, it's closer.
Yeah. Tim seems like he's in a pretty good position here. But a lot depends on what's in Korey's hand. If he can play out a big threat next turn, it could be game-changing. Tim, of course, has the double mana leak, but if Korey can just keep deploying threats, those Hawks might not be able to kill Korey in time, especially since Grim Lava-Mancer can start picking off those Hawks. And that's why I think I kind of like the attack with the Lava-Mancer last turn, because if Tim opts to trade, which is really tempting, you're trading a Squadron Hawk for Grim Lava-Mancer, then I think that actually favors Korey.
It's just the fact that he's not going to really get into a point where these Grim Lava-Mancers are both activating at the same time. He just doesn't have enough cards to go to his graveyard. And there goes the attack with the Grim.
Alright, so he does bring it with the Lava-Mancer this time. And Tim just takes 1.
Yep.
I think that's good discipline by Tim. A lot of players would just be so eager to trade a Hawk off with that Grim Lava-Mancer. But
doesn't want to break up his Air Elemental. Attack puts Korey to 12.
And let's see, now we know Tim has double mana leak, right? He hasn't used either of them. So will he just sit on that, or does he have something else he can deploy here?
It was possible maybe he wanted to Tectonic Edge one of the lands, keep him off of 6 for another turn so he can't really cast a real threat into the mana leak. He does have, it looks like double Tectonic Edge, so he could have, in theory, put Korey back to 3.
Yeah, I don't know if he wanted to risk not having mana leak mana up the...
That's fair.
Certainly something we could see happen to end step if Tim wanted to go all in on the Squadron Hawks. I think if you do that, you commit to winning with your 4 Squadron Hawks.
Right. And
then you also fuel Korey's Lava-Mancers even further.
But he's not going to get to double red. He doesn't have double red for that if he kills both the Lava Claw Reaches. So.
Sure.
At least not yet.
What is Korey thinking about here? Is that another Solemn sitting in his hand?
There was a lava clariches in a forest that I saw. Oh, there's a lotus.
All right, there's a cobra. That gets mana leaks. Tim does not want any of that nonsense because the cobra is a good way to circumvent mana leak by getting you extra mana.
Korey thinking about whether he actually wants to pay for that. I think you do.
I think so too. I don't know what's in Korey's hand. I don't know what kind of game plan he's on, but he has 3 more turns from the Squadron Hawk. All right, Tim's just going to double mana leak it, so that got rid of both Tim's mana leaks, which is totally fine.
Lotus Cobra doing a good blending impression. Crashing for 4.
All right, that'll drop Tim to 15. Tim still definitely has the clock advantage here, but if those Lava Mancers start picking off those Hawks, Tim's clock could drop rather quickly. Oh, sort of Feast and Famine.
Yeah.
Now that changed things dramatically.
I was going to say if you had a land, you could drop Korey to 4, but that was significantly better. That hit for 6 there is real devastating.
Yeah, and now that Hawk is out of a single Lava Mancer range.
Yeah.
Oh, and Gideon on top of it.
Oh, boy.
Things coming together for Tim here. What options does Korey have?
Let's see. He can, he does have 4 cards in graveyard, but that doesn't really do that much against these Hawks.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has to attack Gideon, and then Gideon can crack back.
Yeah.
Korey can block with a man-land maybe, but...
You can play another guy. He has 7 lands in play. If his last 2 cards are like land Grave Titan, he might be somewhere in the game. You know, kill both the guy. Use the Grim Lava Mancers, kill some Hawks.
Well, it's still lethal, right? Oh, no, Tim is 1 land off, because he's got Colonnade.
Yeah,
but, okay. Tim would have to draw an untapped land to activate Colonnade. And then he can serve in for lethal.
Yeah.
Korey's certainly not in the position he wanted to be in, though.
Definitely not.
In this matchup, you want to come out strong, and those Lava Mancers did not do enough.
Yeah, when I was just first looking at this, I was definitely underestimating how good Squadron Hawk was against this gem deck. You know, all these typical 1-for-1s, you know, or even the 2-for-1s aren't so great when you have a 4-for-1 right there.
Yeah, and like I said, I think this game would have been totally different if Korey was able to Inquisition away that Squadron Hawk.
Definitely.
If Korey was just on the play, we could easily see him have demolished this game because Tim would just have nothing going on.
No.
All he's done this game is really Squadron Hawk.
Right up until this Gideon, just nothing.
Right. Alright, so looks like Grim Lava Mancer is getting activated from Korey Faye. Exiles 2 cards in his graveyard. Kills off 1 Hawk. And then Korey plays in lands. Is that
Grave Titan.
Grave Titan, okay.
And Gideon goes down to 5.
Gideon drops down to 5. Now, let's see. So he did have the Grave Titan, which is one way you said he could maybe stay back in the game.
Doesn't look like Tim has. Oh yeah, there's just.
And that's lethal. You just give the sword to Gideon.
Yeah.
And that's 8 right there.
Yep.
Korey drops the first game. Tim playing Copblade, poised to make a finals appearance.
Yeah.
Could this be Copblade return to the finals?
Return? It never left.
So true.
Close to come back. He's been here for months.
Oh man. In the meantime, for those who weren't here yesterday, we're giving away not only 6 months of premium now in the top 4, but in the finals we're going to be giving away a Gen Con badge, which is pretty exciting. That's about a $75 value. That'll let you get in the door to Gen Con. So stay tuned for that in the finals. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, we're going to give away 6 months of free premium just for watching this match. And here's how this works. So you'll want to go on Twitter, and we're going to ask a question. Respond to the question with the answer and the hashtag SCG Premium. You can put at SCG Live if you want, but you don't have to. The important thing is we have the at SCG or the hashtag SCG Premium in your answer somewhere, and you can see it on the screen now. And we'll choose one person who answers the question correctly, and they will win 6 months of free premium. Are you excited?
Yeah.
All right. Premium, it's so good. All the best content's on Premium right now. Like,
really is.
Some best videos, best articles, but it's the best players.
Yeah, Jerry T, Mike Jacob, Pat Chapin, Brian Kibler, Brad Nelson, you know.
Player of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a question. Speaking of Jerry Thompson, if you were watching yesterday, you might know, what deck did Jerry Thompson play yesterday? That's the question. Answer it, and you could win 6 months of free premium for StarCityGames.com. I think I'm curious to see how many people know this one. If you were watching yesterday, you'll probably know the answer. If you weren't, maybe it might be a little difficult for you. So answer that question now. for 6 months of free premium and join us again in the finals of the Standard Open to try and win a Gen Con badge, as well as in the finals of the Legacy Open to try and win a Gen Con badge. And that's just such a great prize. Like, not only is it a Gen Con badge, but Nationals is at Gen Con this year.
If you win that badge, you can just go play in the grinders, grind into Nationals, and I mean, Nationals QC for Worlds, right?
Yeah, and plus, the thing about Nationals is I think that the grinders this year might be even a little softer, or just because there aren't going to be as many people, it's that you do have the front entry fee to go into Gen Con in the first place.
You do need the Gen Con badge to play in the grinders.
So, should be interesting to see how that plays out. Fortunately, I'm already qualified, I don't have to grind, but it's, if I was trying to grind, I think it's totally reasonable you can grind it. And plus, the way they run the grinders now is not the big 64-man or 100 people like top 4 single elimination grinders. They just run 32-man grinders, so you go 5-0, you qualify for Nationals.
And they're just 32-man grinders. Don't they just go as they fill?
Yeah, they just go as they fill. It's just like, say, a Grand Prix trial at a pro trial at a Grand Prix.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really cool, really great stuff. So this badge is very useful. Of course, all kinds of other great stuff at Gen Con. You have all the board games, you have Dungeons and Dragons, you have all kinds of new card games being premiered, things that aren't even on the market yet. You can try out and buy there for the first time. I remember it was last year, right? At Gen Con that Ascension, Brian Kibler's game was premiered.
I believe so.
Yeah. Obviously, if Kibler's out there watching right now, he can correct us on that. But I think it was at Gen Con where they premiered, or at least it was certainly a big showing at Gen Con.
Yeah.
So, and that's really where a lot of the buzz came from. So you definitely are going to want to be there. Stay tuned in the finals to win a Gen Con badge, and the finals of the Legacy Open as well to win a Gen Con badge. In the meantime, we've got this matchup between Jund and Cobblade. We saw Game 1 play out. Cobblade seemed to be pretty decisive with the Squadron Hawks. Now Korey's on the play, and I think one of the biggest keys here is if you can make sure that he can discard a Squadron Hawk.
Yeah, I agree. Let's look at the sideboards a little bit and see what they have. I think that the Cobblade deck has a pretty good spread of everything. It's got Flash Freeze, Core Firewalker, Celestial Purge, and Stave Off. Like, all of these are pretty good against what Korey's doing. It's just a matter of what Tim thinks is important in the matchup and which colors he actually wants to focus on answering the cards from.
Stave Off is certainly an interesting sideboard card.
Yeah, it counters all of the removal from this Jund deck pretty efficiently. Dismember costs 1, Stave Off just 1 mana counters it. You don't have to mess around with any kind of tricks. He also might want Mental Misstep for all the discard to keep his Squadron Hawk protected.
Yeah,
it also hits Lightning Bolt and Grim Ultimancer.
Yeah, I kind of like the Mental Missteps here. I think hitting the discard is going to be super, super important. Looks like Tim is taking a quick break. I think hitting the discard is really important in this matchup. We saw, like I said, Game 1, that Inquisition on Squadron Hawk, if it had just been the other way around and he could fire off the Inquisition first, the game, I think, would have easily been Korey's.
I agree.
But that's not how it went down.
Korey sideboard. He has Duress, possibly Liliana Vest could be good if you can control the Squadron Hawks.
Thrun seems like a pretty solid one too.
Yeah, this deck doesn't really have a lot of good ways to fight a Thrun.
Yeah,
Thrun also beats Hero Blade.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's one of the big ones for me. Is you put down Thrun, they can swing with their hero once, but you'll block, and that's that.
Kazul seems pretty good in this matchup.
Kazul's certainly an interesting card. Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs, not a card that's seen a ton of play unless you're Conley Woods or a couple other name players. Jonathan Sukin had one in his sideboard in Edison.
Yes. Let's see. Obstinate Baloth. Maybe for the Feast and Famine, but I don't think there's.
Yeah, doubtful.
If there were like 3 or 4 Feast and Famines in this deck, I could consider it. But
I'm just not even convinced that discarding Obstinate Baloth the Sword Feast and Famine is even that insane. When I was playing Cobblade, my opponents would just discard the Sword Feast and Famine. I just wouldn't care because I just hit them with the Sword Feast.
Well, what were you playing against?
Just like people playing Obstinate Baloth, whatever green decks were popular, Fauna Shaman decks.
Oh, see, those decks I thought it was actually kind of, or at least in Elves was where I found it really relevant. But it might be less relevant on the less aggressive decks like Jund, where you may as well just play it on your curve.
I mean, it might also be totally different too without Jace the Mind Sculptor and Stoneforge Mystic around.
Right.
So.
Let's see, he's got a couple more removal he might want. I don't think he wants Memoricide or Surgical Extraction. I don't think Pyroclasm is very good either.
No, I don't think none of those really excite me. I mean, some players might get a little greedy and go for the kill 1 Hawk, Surgical Extraction, all your Hawks planned, but that's just so unlikely to happen.
You're still down cards on that exchange, and Pyroclasm is like a similar concept. You might Pyroclasm all their Hawks away, but you draw it and they're like, oh, I'm beating you down with the hero. Okay, I guess I'll kill all your soldiers and then get hit again and die.
Yeah.
Right.
So, do we think he's going to take out his Lightning Bolts?
They aren't very good in this matchup. I can definitely see that.
So maybe he takes out his Lightning Bolts. Probably takes out his Memoricide, I'd imagine.
Yes, I would definitely imagine
that. So that's 3 cards in the main deck that get cut. Maybe he takes out some of his situational creatures maybe he doesn't want.
Phyrexian Revoker doesn't seem very good in this matchup at all.
I mean, Revoker you can name as Planeswalkers. You can name Gideon Jura. You can name Sword of Feast and Famine.
Yeah, it just... I don't know if that's the fight you're going to have to be fighting. I think you might have to fight more over Squadron Hawks. And like, I guess this list doesn't really have a great answer to Gideon Jura, so it might be necessary. But other than that, I don't really see it. Feast, I guess it doesn't have any... I keep thinking of John with Maelstrom Pulse. Okay, maybe you do want this Phyrexian Revoker. Maybe that's your Maelstrom Pulse.
He definitely wants to bring in the duress, I think.
Right.